Picture this. You've just spent a ton of money on your house. You've redecorated every room, you've gutted the kitchen, redone the bathroom, you've got everything just right and you're happy with it. And then, completely out of nowhere, you think, nah, screw all this, I'm going to completely redo everything and start from scratch. That's what BMW is doing, starting with this, the new iX3. Munich has demolished, flattened and thrown out everything about how it used to make cars. It has spent billions of euros redesigning and re-engineering everything about its huge range of models. That's an enormous gamble. Has that huge gamble paid off? My name is Jake, you're watching Car, and it's time to find out. First up, a history lesson. BMW's sweeping Neue Klasse project is a massive initiative that ushers in a completely new design language, a whole load of interior and engineering upgrades, and much smarter technology. The aim is to go over all of its current cars with a fine-toothed comb, redesign them, introduce class-leading technology, and make its electric cars in particular much more efficient. If that name sounds familiar, it's because BMW has done all of this once before. The original Neue Klasse project from the 1960s was designed to completely reset BMW because, back then, it was struggling financially and didn't really have much of an identity. The first Neue Klasse project was a Hail Mary, what felt like a last-ditch attempt to turn around the company's fortunes. But it was one that worked. It spawned legendary cars like the 1500 and 2000, and proved to the world that BMW could make accessible cars that were great to drive, competitive in motorsport, and look the part all at once. What would follow soon after would be a brand so confident that it named its cars ultimate driving machines. These days though, BMW is nowhere near the same set of fraught circumstances that warranted such a hard reset like it had in the 60s. It still makes cars that are brilliant to drive. The M division is cranking out absolute bangers like the M3 Touring and the M2 CS. And despite many of the designs ranging from lightly controversial to downright pig ugly, they haven't really dented sales. And yet, in 2020, at the height of the pandemic no less, BMW bet the house on doing a Neue Klasse all over again. It's just madness. This new iX3 is the first production car result. It's an electric SUV that's designed to battle the Audi Q6 e-tron, Porsche Macan, and that new electric Mercedes GLC that looks a little bit like it's melted in the sun. The next Neue Klasse model that will follow will be an all-new BMW i3, the official production name of the electric 3 Series. And over the next 2 or 3 years, BMW will introduce Neue Klasse upgrades and technology to all of its refreshed cars. Now you can see one particular element from that original Neue Klasse project in the iX3's face. It actually incorporates a couple of very skinny kidney grills. It's not really a grill anymore because it's electric. And then it's sort of fashioned with a couple of black bands that incorporate the headlights. Whether you like it or not, we're all going to have to get used to it. The new face is just one part of this entirely new Neue Klasse design language. Now this version is actually wearing the M Sport body kit and it's running 21-inch alloy wheels with quite a retro strake effect to the wheel design. My 2 cents, it's quite spec dependent. It really depends what colour and wheel choice you choose really. I think this particular version looks absolutely mega, but other versions I'm not so sure about, so it really depends on the spec you choose. In reality though, the iX3 is a lot cleaner design-wise than most cars we've seen from the brand recently. I mean, look at the sort of creasing down the bodywork. There's barely anything to it. It's nice and clean. There's no big vents or big scalloped door sills. It's all very tidy, neat. Which even extends to the flush pop-out door handles. Now, I'm not usually a fan of these kind of handles, but they're the most solid feeling ones I've ever used. And as you can see, there's no chrome anywhere on this car. If BMW wants something to shine, it does it with light instead. But while that new design is a talking point, the interior feels absolutely radical. The steering wheel looks like something out of the cyberpunk universe. The massive hexagonal infotainment screen dominates the dashboard, and there's no iDrive click wheel controller on the center console. It's not the first time a recent BMW has launched without one, but we're still mourning its demise. BMW still uses the iDrive name though. I mean, check out that full width display across the dashboard. It's called panoramic iDrive and it actually replaces conventional instruments. You can customize it based on what drive mode you're in. If you put it in sport, for example, you get a power meter and a G sensor, and you can even customize it with a personal mode where you can add widgets like measuring air quality or reading the weather or adding your navigation route in. In general though, the material quality is really quite impressive, and as you can tell, you can get it in colours other than black. Now, I can't test a family SUV without checking the back seats. I'm 6'2" and there is tons of legroom behind my driving position. It's really good back here. You've got anchor points for accessories, you've got USB-C points down there and climate controls, and an armrest with cup holders. That'll do me. As well as 520 litres of boot space, a 58 litre bonnet storage area is also included. And, provided you spec the electronically deployable tow bar, you can tow up to 2 tonnes. In the UK, the new iX3 is priced from £58,755 for this 50 xDrive launch model. For reference, that's around £7,000 less than the outgoing iX3, a car that already began to feel out of date not long after it launched in 2020. For that amount of cash, you get an electric SUV that runs on an 800-volt architecture and uses an enormous 108 kilowatt-hour battery. This launch model has 2 electric motors for all-wheel drive, developing a total of 464 brake horsepower. That's good for a 0 to 62 time in 4.9 seconds and a top speed of 130 miles an hour. BMW claims a maximum 400 kilowatt DC charging speed and is keen to point out that the platform can run on older 400 volt chargers as well as newer 800 volt ones. But the tastiest number is the 500 mile claimed range, making this one of the longest range electric cars in the world. Alright, fine, yep, enough talk. What is it actually like to drive? In short, it's really good. Really good. Let's start with the steering, for example. It's not brimming with feel, but it's really accurate and it actually feels quite darty. It's quite athletic. It implies a lighter car than the fact that the iX3 is 2 and a bit tons. But it's not nervous, it's not twitchy, it calms down when you're on the motorway, for example, and it sort of feels quite sure-footed. There's a plumpness to the ride, but even over these cobbled streets, for example, it's actually handling it pretty well. Normally BMWs err on the side of firmness, but it's quite a good balance here. Quite well damped. We've not managed to hit the bump stops just yet on some big potholes and drain covers. And the body control is really impressive actually. When you really chuck it into a corner, it corners really flat. It also helps that the iX3 doesn't feel all that wide on the road, something that's particularly useful when you're a bit stupid and end up getting stuck in a confusing Spanish village full of skinny one-way streets. I'm so lost. Get me out of this place. Anyway, this xDrive 50 version, it's got plenty of power. You don't really need any more than this. It's more than quick enough. But your choices will be expanded to include an entry-level model and there'll very likely be an M version too. Given this dual-motor xDrive model is already cheaper than the outgoing iX3, that entry-level model will be really good value. Do you know what else will be good value? A Car Magazine subscription. You can currently get 49% off when you buy through greatmagazines.co.uk. It's the ideal present for yourself, or maybe even a Christmas gift for a loved one. I'll leave you a link in the description down below so you can check out that offer. Now you're probably wondering about the steering wheel, and it's a little quirky, I'll be honest, it looks a bit wacky, but it actually feels quite natural when you get to use it. There's some good hand rests for your hands at 9 to 3, and the buttons, they're far enough away where, yes, fine, okay, they're haptic. I don't like haptic buttons. There are certain other brands that do haptic buttons badly, but they're far enough away where you don't accidentally knock anything. And there isn't a secondary touch-sensitive operation here. You have to press hard to get it to do anything. Now, I mentioned earlier about the fact that this doesn't have an iDrive click wheel anymore, but in reality, I'm not actually missing it. The infotainment system is really impressive. It's very slick, it's very clean. They've decontented some of the menus to make it a bit simpler to use. It still takes a bit of time to get used to, but overall it is an improvement. Now, as well as the infotainment improvements, there's also something called the Heart of Joy. Yeah, I know, it's quite a cringy name. What it really means is just a load of computers that look after the vehicle dynamics. But the idea is it's meant to make the car smoother, it's meant to make the car more alert, and it's assisted with things like eye tracking and steering inputs and so on. Now, yes, fine, Big Brother's in the car, there's a camera right here on the rearview mirror, but the idea is it's meant to help you with certain driver assistance functions. For example, there's a motorway assist where you can even look in the mirror and it'll change lane for you without needing to indicate. So much so that I managed to drive more than 20 miles on Spanish highways with my hands completely off the wheel. It's impressively slick, reacting fast to changing traffic situations, and it feels like something you can trust quickly. And there's something called soft stop, which is meant to remove the little lurch when you come to a stop. Are there any grumbles? Well, not many, actually. It's really small things. The brakes take a little bit of time to get used to. In a good way, they're really quite strong and accurate. There's no sogginess that you sometimes get with electric cars. And to a degree, that's helped by the adaptive brake regen that helps you slow down for corners, junctions, cars in front, and so on. Personally, I wish there were paddles for the regeneration modes on the steering wheel. You do have to dig through the drive mode menu to get to change it. And on some road surfaces, the tyre noise is a little bit louder than I'd like, frankly. But in reality, I'm clutching at straws and quibbling over what really are a couple of extremely minor points of contention. So, has that big gamble finally paid off? I'd say it has. The iX3 feels next generation, and not just because of the way it looks, but the way it drives. The interior is a massive improvement, the range figure potential is massive, and it's less expensive than the old one was. How rare can you say that about a new car these days? I never thought I'd be saying this about an electric SUV, but I would happily own one of these, especially compared to the competition that this goes up against. And compared to something like an Audi Q6 e-tron, this is leagues ahead. So I guess there's only one thing left for me to say. Welcome, one and all, to the new electric SUV benchmark. It really is that good.